Press record. I'm sorry, Sean?
The is that another shape of the cell, or is that just added onto a layer of the cell?
That's just a cellular configuration that looks like it's more than one layer, but is not. So it's not really another shape. It's not categorized as another shape. It's mainly going to be categorized as it appears to be multi-leveled, but is not. Our pseudostratified is where we are generally going to see the ciliation.
Doug got one.
That's okay. Is Doug back?
Yeah.
Good. All right, so the first configuration, simple squamous, simple meaning one layer of squished, thank you, squished cells. So as I said, these are going to be very, very fragile. This is a thinner than a tissue paper layer of cells. And so where we see these layers typically is where we have gas exchange happening. Some examples would be, here, you all have heard this word. I'm just going to test you on some med term. Yeah, if you are a loved one. Right? If you've ever watched TV at like 3 o'clock in the morning, you see the commercial. If you are a loved one. Mesothelioma. This is just the lining of the chest. Well, what happens in your chest? Gas exchange. So that's where you have the exchange of oxygen diffusing into the cells, carbon dioxide diffusing out. And then, of course, you have your blood vessels. The big takeaway on this slide, though, is that simple squamous is very fragile, very, very thin, and promotes the movement of things like gas molecules, unimpeded. So that's our simple squamous, squished cell. Give you guys a minute. Yeah, the tough thing about terriers is they kind of all look the same. Yeah, like your Skye and your Kerry Blue, or yeah, your, is it Kerry Blue? Yeah. Kerry Blue. Anyway, they all kind of look the same.
They're all kind of ugly, like compared to.
Shut your hole!
Oh my god!
Shut your face hole!
Like I mean, I have terriers, but like comparatively to like all the bigger dogs we've done, they're just not as cute.
I think it's just because their function is essentially similar.
Hey, who said that?
Their grooming is not as diverse.
Like their haircuts too, like you just don't really do it.
But their haircut is not their fault. It's
Like the
form
last
following
one we
function.
did yesterday was so ugly.
Oh no, my dearest, you are not allowed to say a breed is ugly if you don't remember what the name of the breed is. I'm just saying. I shake
The
my.
Bedlington.
Okay, that one I do get. Super ugly though. Bedlington with that weird, like
yeah,
kind of.
like the mohawk on their face.
And their eyes are like horse eyes, where they're on either side of their head.
Looks like the
I
same
think Bedlingtons are so cute though.
No, they're not. I do agree with you on that one.
Thank you.
That's probably the only one I agree with you. The rest of them are pretty cute.
Well, what's really funny is I think the bull terrier is like the cutest one, but he has like that super weird.
Oh Lord, bullies. Bullies are we wrecked that dog.
Has anyone seen the movie Baxter?
Baxter? I have not seen the movie Baxter.
It's a French film from the 80s shot in the perspective of a quite evil bull terrier.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that. I love it. I am in love with that idea. All right, so here we have a picture just showing like here inside the lungs, we have our simple squamous And this is where, when you breathe in, you have these big voids in your lungs. And this is what allows oxygen to go in and carbon dioxide to come out. And we have a simple squamous that allows that to happen. All right, the second simple configuration is cuboidal or cube shape. This is where we have secretion and absorption. To secrete means I'm putting product out. To absorb means I'm putting product in. So areas that are producing hormones, for example, the ovaries, the liver, the kidneys, the pancreas, all of these organs, now I know you know the kidneys are mainly toxic waste cleanup, but the kidneys do also produce hormones, specifically a hormone called erythropoietin, which helps your body to stimulate the production of red blood cells. So all of these glandular tissues, and we do see it primarily in glandular tissue, that we are having that simple cuboidal. This will come up again in just a little bit when we start talking about how do we get stuff out of a gland. The gland has now made the stuff, how do we get it out? And there's 3 different ways that we can get it out. And one of the ways involves this cell, the simple cuboidal. So our simple squamous, thin, allows easy gas exchange. Simple cuboidal, 1 layer of cube shape. And these are primarily glandular cells that assist in secretion and absorption. So how am I going to test you over this material? What I might do is ask a question, for example, this is the cellular epithelial configuration that helps with absorption and excretion. And then I would have simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar, pseudostratified. And you would be able to choose easily which one it was. You know, which of the following epithelial configurations helps with the easy exchange of gases. And then I would lay out all of them, and you would say,
So is this
Simple
weekly
squamous.
sound test?
is this what?
So is this like a sound test?
This is a, probably gonna word it almost identical to what I've just said.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna be coy or subtle with that one. Doug's too tired to care at this point. Yeah, probably something very similar to that exact wording
Okay.
for both of those questions. Here's a picture of our simple cuboidal. Here's a picture of a kitty cat. I'm just showing the kidney. So we have it as the glandular. Now, obviously, had other glands that I just talked about. This one is only showing the kidney. Here's another picture. This is this here is the basement membrane. And so I know you're like, but Ms. Hop, that's two layers of cells right there. How could that be simple? That's how you sound in my head sometimes. This is the basement membrane. I have 1 layer coming off the basement membrane. And I have 1 layer coming off the opposite basement membrane. That's what makes this a simple configuration. If I
Ms.
have
Huff, Charles wants to know if the anal gland is an example.
the anal gland is a gland. Not all glands are simple cuboidal. Not all glands are simple cuboidal. You are correct, Charles, that the anal gland is a gland. However, its cellular configuration is a little bit different than what we're discussing right here. Finally, the third simple, we have simple columnar. These are going to be very absorptive. We see these in the GI tract where we need a lot of absorption because it's responsible for taking in all of your nutrients. After you eat your Chipotle burrito, it goes to your stomach where it becomes liquefied, and then it goes to your intestines where they break it apart on the most basic molecular structure. Upload those structures into your blood where they are rebuilt and reconfigured into other things. These simple columnar cells help to increase the surface area and help to increase the ability to absorb. And then, of course, embedded in this simple columnar, we have our goblet cells, which you all know. I'm still watching Game of Thrones. I finally got to the one, you know, the one. Wait,
I just finished season 3, so.
no, but okay. Without any spoiler alerts, season 4. Who in here even knows what I'm talking about, Game of Thrones? Okay, so I got a few of you. You all know the episode you wait for the entire time.
I think I know. I've got 2 episodes into season 4. So.
Okay, well, if you're only 2 episodes in, I don't know if you're there yet.
I don't know. I'm thinking of Joffrey.
Yeah, you're right on the right track.
Okay.
What happens to him?
He dies.
Yes, okay. So no spoiler alert. I finally got to that one last night.
I just watched it.
The Lion and the Rose. Yes.
Oh,
So good.
So satisfying. He
Oh,
dies in the most humiliating way too.
yes.
I was sitting there just
Bloody
the whole time.
snot running down his face. Love him.
One of our friends' kids was like Joffrey 1 year.
I feel quite bad for him because you know that was his first acting job ever, and he's never taken another one because he played. Nobody is able to separate
He
his.
was in Batman.
He was in Batman.
What were we talking
Yeah, he was the kid that Batman like gave that little.
He was younger before Game of Thrones.
No, that was before Game of Thrones. He's never done another acting job after Game of Thrones. In fact, he enrolled and he was a college student for quite some time.
Yeah, because he's so stuck in that character.
Because nobody, and he can't even do like Comic-Con signings because people can't separate him from the character. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. He can't even, I mean, the only thing you're ever gonna see, he's worse than Draco Malfoy.
Oh,
Significantly.
Oh, yeah.
The character that was
Can
Joffrey.
you go back, please?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. But the problem is that the actor's not the character. And he was signed up to do, they did a big Game of Thrones, I think it was a couple of years ago at Comic-Palooza. And he was signed up and people were protesting. And he didn't come. 'Cause they were afraid for his, they were afraid for his safety. So he just dropped off the face of the earth and went to school. Became a college student.
I saw an interview where he was like, yeah, people talk me on the street, like spit at me and like curse at me all the time. I'm like, oh my God, that sounds so bad.
I know, but that's a sign of like most
Yeah.
gifted actor.
Yeah, exactly.
That you can't separate, although it does say something for the intelligence of the public.
Yeah, we love.
A little, yeah. All right, so simple columnar, more surface area for absorption. So we see it in areas where we have absorption needed. It is an absorptive cell, and embedded we have our goblets, which manufacture mucus. I will do it. I will turn this bus around and make the noise. The goblet cell manufactures. There you go.
So just to clarify, the apical surface is facing like the hole.
Get the cavity.
Okay.
The goblet cell is not in the GI.
So the goblet cell is not a simple cuboidal. It's just that in the GI tract, this is where one of the areas you're going to find goblet cells. If you think of goblet cells, the more mucus you produce in an area, the more goblet cells you have. So obviously you have a lot of mucus in your GI tract because it makes it slippery as a slip and slide. So you have a lot of goblet cells. You have some goblet cells in your lungs. Other areas like on my skin, I don't have any goblet cells in the tissue of my skin because I don't really want to have mucus on my skin. But The goblet cell is different. It's just that in the simple columnar, where we have it in areas of high absorption, it just happens to be also areas where we have high concentrations of goblet cells.
So frogs would have goblet cells?
Yes, frogs. Easy for me to say. Frogs have goblet cells as part of the cellular makeup of their skin. Other animals, there's one, what is it? Is it blobfish, mucus fish? Is it the blob? There's some fish where if you pick it up, it just starts like draining waterfall of super sticky mucus.
I learned something about
Sea cucumbers are the same way, aren't they?
Sea cucumbers
the blobfish in their high pressure
are humongous.
they look totally different. They don't, the pressure loss from coming up out of the ocean makes them look like that.
Yeah, like Bob the Blob.
Yeah.
But
The nose gets me every time.
the nose. Kilroy was here. But yes, so animals that do emit mucus on the surface of their skin would have an entirely different epithelial construction than me. We would see goblet cells secreting mucus to the outside.
Is that just in like water treatment?
Not necessarily. I mean, you have a lot of like tree frogs. Maybe not technically water frogs, but tree frogs live in trees and emit mucus. In fact, some of them emit some of the most deadly poisonous mucus known on the planet. So it's not necessarily, although a lot of our amphibious animals have goblet cells, not so much for poison or for defense, but to help prevent the overabsorption of water. Because you want that water balance. And if you are submerged in water for 90% of your life and your skin is absorbing water, you're going to move into a toxic level pretty darn quick. And so the other thing they do is they have that mucus that helps to waterproof their skin and prevent the overabsorption of it.
I don't know if frogs down here do that, like water frogs up north, they have the mucus because they burrow in the dirt, and then when the freeze happens, they're in hibernation.
Yes. Absolutely.
I don't know if they're the same way down here.
Well, we don't really have hibernating frogs because other than this year, we very rarely go below freezing.
Give your 2 days in February.
Yeah, you get your 2 days. If you're lucky, every 5 years, you'll get a couple of fat snowflakes and everyone loses their gosh darn mind.
I'll definitely jerk outside shoveling my driveway.
During the freeze?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. Hard no. This is just another picture. I told you guys I got a ton of pictures. If I took all the pictures out, this whole slideshow would be like 20 slides. Okay, maybe not 20. But here we've got the basement membrane, and you can see a single layer of column-shaped cells.
Why does that one have two?
What we probably got is a single layer, but we have a cell, and then we've got a cell kind of behind it that's superimposed, and so it's appearing to have two nuclei. It also kind of depends on the staining technique. Like you can see here, this one's in the forefront, this one's in the background. So depending on the stain and the uptake of stain, you'll sometimes see them like this, and it'll make it appear like there's multinucleated cells. All right, so now we're moving out of our simple configurations into our stratified, more than one layer. Stratified squamous are areas that are constantly being worn away. Think of your skin. Your skin is made of multiple layers. And as a brand new cell is born, it pushes all of the layers up one, and the uppermost layer is going to then slough off. So you're constantly having new cells up behind it. Here you can see right here, here's our basement membrane. Here's our first layer of cells, and you can see the squamous cells don't start out squamous. They start out kind of round. But as they move closer and closer and closer to the surface, they get thinner and thinner and thinner until eventually they just fall off. So they're constantly being worn or sheared away. These are going to be in areas that have a lot of stress, like your skin, like your mouth. Oh Lord, think of the heck that your mouth goes through every day. Not only do you have dissolving enzymes in your saliva that are meant to start breaking down starches and fats and proteins, they also come in behind your eating and help to dissolve bacteria. But you also have the trauma of eating, anything you're putting in your mouth. So the buccal and the oral epithelium are constantly be shedding. So that's our stratified squamous. Different from our simple single layer, easy gas exchange. Stratified multiple layers so that the top layer can constantly be worn and shorn away. And it's meant to do that. Can you imagine what you would look like if you never, ever, ever lost an epithelial cell? Oh my goodness, your skin would be 2 feet thick. Yeah. Your skin would be 2 feet thick. And so it's really important that we do shed that top layer of dead cells and allow newer, healthy cells to come in behind it. I'll give you guys a minuet. Hey, what you doing in intro? I haven't asked you that one.
Yesterday was kitty restraint.
And today we're
You did kitty restraint? How did you do? You did amazing. Of course you did. And today is puppy dog restraint.
Well, we're learning. We're actually doing it.
Oh, gotcha. Yep. Pay attention to your body, pay attention to their body. Dogs are way more predictable than cats. A dog will tell you minutes before it starts acting like a fool. That you'll feel them tense up, and you'll know not only what are they going to do, how are they going to act, are they going to try and bite me, are they going to try and run away? I'll tell you all of that. Body language. Dogs are an open book. You can read them like crazy. Cats, on the other hand, not so much.
I don't know, I find comfort in the unpredictability of cats.
You know what? I do not, as a technician having to work on them, I do not like the unpredictability, because you're restraining a cat, you've got them stretched for a medial femoral blood draw. And the cat's purring and making biscuits, because they do that when they're nervous, not just when they're happy.
Yeah.
And he's doing fine, and suddenly he just explodes like a nuclear bomb with no notice whatsoever.
I just feel like I'm more alert with a cat than I ever have been with a dog.
It's the knowing you have to constantly be prepared versus the I'm waiting to be prepared.
Exactly. Yes. Agreed.
My cat almost bit me.
Well, don't let that happen.
I did this one. Well,
So this is just, I love this. This looks like a strawberry. This looks like a strawberry. So this is just showing our stratified squamous. Here's a basement membrane, and you can see multiple. Now you can see the nuclei. You can't really see the individual cells, but you can see how we have many layers. This happens to be the tissue, a histology of the tissue of your tongue. Imagine let me explain to you just how quickly the layers get sheared off. If you've ever had dental work done, if you've ever burned your mouth, every one of us has done that. You just couldn't wait to eat the pizza. You eat the pizza and holy smokes, you end up with sometimes blisters on the top. Those are satisfying. Put your finger up, pop them.
Oh no.
In your mouth.
Blisters when you burn yourself on pizza.
Blister on now. Or like when you scramble.
Inside, like on your hard palate. You've never had a blister, you've never drank a cup.
I feel like raw before, but like, not a blister from heat.
Oh no, I was super hungry and I ate pizza before it stopped being molten lava. And I ended up with a bunch of little blisters on the top of my roof of my mouth.
I don't know.
You know.
My front teeth.
Yeah, but if I get a blister on my foot, how long does it take to heal? For freaking ever. Days, if not weeks. If I get a blister or a sore in my mouth, 48 hours. That's just a demonstration of how quickly these epithelial cells are reproducing and getting sheared off. Much quicker than anywhere else on the body.
I like to play with the hot spot on your tongue whenever you get it.
When you have like your tongue at like the roof of your mouth and you're like doing like that, you're like just taking off layers as you do that.
Oh, absolutely. But you've got the layers underneath to replace. Heck yeah.
So can your taste buds change? Like not really change, but like,
Oh, now you're getting into that's interesting.
cause like you know when you do burn your tongue, like you lose the feeling a little bit, or like stuff starts tasting different. Like, can you like change like,
So-
your whole thing?
Yes, you can. So over time, your taste buds become less sensitive, meaning that you don't get the same taste. And there are a lot of environmental factors, like if you are constantly burning your mouth, you're burning away and you're causing trauma, which is going to impact your taste buds. If you do things like drink hard alcohol constantly, like vodka or whiskey or something, some sort of hard liquor, or if you smoke cigarettes or if you vape, it kills all your taste buds. And your taste buds, as you grow older, also age. We see this as a common, I'm going to bringing it back. We see this as a common veterinary issue, specifically in our old cats, is they lose their taste sensitivity and they also lose a little bit of their sense of smell. And you all know cats won't eat what they can't smell. And cats are very palatable oriented, meaning they want stuff that smells strong and tastes good. And as their taste diminishes, you have a cat that doesn't want to eat anymore. Yeah, because cats can't go anorexic for any length of time because it kills their liver. They develop a condition called hepatic lipidosis. And so, yes, and yes.
How long can a cat go about it?
Before you start seeing irreparable liver damage, about 72 hours. Anything greater than 72 hours, we are in a world of trouble.
So what do you do to get them to eat?
There's a couple of different things. You can try force feeding them. You can try heating up the food, changing the diet to something more smelly. The dry food may not be smelly enough or taste good enough. Maybe we'll switch them over to canned food. And in extreme cases, we'll place a feeding tube, either a temporary nasogastric or a more permanent esophagostomy, gastrostomy, duodenostomy. We can even place a jejunostomy, a tube directly into the intestines.
If they really want the smell and like they're old, would that be a case for a raw diet or is that still like not?
I wouldn't, because they have such specific, cats are aliens. Aliens, they have different nutritional needs than any other animal on the planet. And they are far, 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 far more sensitive to deficiencies, causing irreparable organ damage and multi-system organ failure. So I don't recommend barf diets for the cats at all, ever.
Is that, it's done, right, not my calculation. So, is that because they keep them like a bigger species? Because most dogs get came from wolves, which are much bigger than dogs.
It's not necessarily the size, it's just their physiological makeup. And I don't have an answer for why. There are specific nutrients cats needs that dogs don't. A couple of examples, they need an increased amount of taurine, which is an amino acid. I'm just gonna throw words
Aren't
out.
they true carnivores?
They are obligate carnivores, meaning they have nutrients they can only get from animal sources. Like taurine, they have a fatty acid called arachidonic acid that can only be from animal sources. Dogs don't need that, they make it for themselves. Cats need the animal source of vitamin A because they can't convert the plant source, so that's why, yes, they are obligate carnivores.
So there's no like supplements you can get from.
No, if you are a vegetarian and you want to put your cat on a vegetarian diet, you need to give it up for adoption. And I'm not trying to be mean. I appreciate your life choice of being a vegetarian. Don't impose that on an obligate carnivore. So no supplements, I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought.
Well, even if you were giving them supplements, they would have had to come from animal sources, so I get a little passionate about that. I apologize. All right, so this is just kind of a fun, these are glandular. We've got our, even though it's only 2, still considered stratified, isn't it? Yep. Finally, we've got our stratified columnar, which would be multiple layers of our column-shaped cells. Super rare. We really don't see this anatomically. Some parts in some species in the respiratory or digestive. But honestly, the animals like the dogs and cats, the primary companion animals, we really don't see stratified columnar.
What kind of cells are in a bovine kidney? Since they're lobulated, are they the same as regular kidneys?
Yeah, they're the same. The bovine kidneys are cellular, still have the nephron originating in the cortex, dipping into the medulla. It's just the overall look and anatomical shape of the kidney is different. The function and the way it works is the same. So what do we take away from stratified columnar? It's super rare. We really don't see it. And those are the 6 configurations of our epithelial cells. And I've already explained to you how I will test you over them. Comments, questions, concerns? Yes.
With stratified cuboidal, does that they're glandular and found in the ducts?
Yes. They are found in glands. And we're going to start looking at some glandular formations. And the idea of why the glands have to be stratified cuboidal will be apparent based on how some glands get rid of their secretions. Why do we need multiple layers of cuboid cells? Well, because we're losing some sometimes. Here's a picture of a stratified columnar. Again, I'm not going to have you identify these on the test as far as pictures, and this one's super rare. Then we have our little cheeky monkey. He's the one that wants you to think that he's stratified, but he's not. He is known as the pseudo-stratified. And as the picture, remember from like 6 slides ago, these pseudo-stratified are usually going to have cilia. Sea anemone. They're usually going to be ciliated. And these are the cells that we've been talking about you find in your trachea, in your lungs that crowd surf the foreign invaders away. Why do they look like they're stratified when they're not? Their nuclei are at different levels. So it is truly a simple that looks stratified. anyone have any comments, other questions or concerns
So
so
the
far?
cilia is just on top, it's not the actual cell itself.
Yeah, the cilia is incorporated as a special external specialization. So the cilia is in fact part of the cell, just like the microvilli are part of the cell. And where we see the cilia most commonly is on this particular type of cell. Like the cells in your blood vessels with simple squamous are not going to have cilia. We don't need it. I'll give you guys a minute. All right, since we only have a couple minutes left, I think we'll end it here and we'll pick it up on tomorrow at our last little types of epithelium, and then we'll get into glands.
Do you have like a side-by-side comparison of the pseudo columnar